Welcome to our series on the new features in Anthology version 8. This video will focus on web resources. Web resources are websites that you can search within Anthology for information about a title that you're interested in, and then, optionally, to import those titles into a special order, a PO, or any other screen of Anthology. We maintain web resources here on the Web Resources screen off the Master Files menu. And as you can see, currently we support Anthology Web Store, the Indy Commerce sites from the ABA, and Goodreads. If you have an AWS or Indy Commerce site, you can enable it. And if you don't have either AWS or Indy Commerce, you can use the Goodreads site. Or you can, if you choose, enable more than one site. If you do, Anthology will ask you when you seek to use web resources which of the enabled sites you want to use. If you enable just one site, then the program will take you directly to that site when you choose to search the web. For now, we'll enable both the Indy Commerce and the Goodreads web resource. To show you how this works, let's start with the familiar Anthology cash register and with the familiar situation where somebody asks you about a potential special order. To search, we bring up Inventory Assistant, either by clicking on the ellipsis button to the right of the ISBN SKU field or by pressing F2. I'll press F2 and the Inventory Assistant comes up. You'll notice there are a number of new options on the Inventory Assistant screen. For instance, there's a new quick search, which will be the subject of another video. And we also have this F5 Web Resources button. Now, let's say that our customer is interested in finding a copy of Middlemarch. So we'll type in Middlemarch, and then we'll search our inventory first. We don't have it, so we need to look again. We'll choose Search again. Now, we could, at this point in Anthology, go to Fetch. And this has been what anthologies have done now for several years. When you choose Fetch, we query your database of books in print. In this case, it's content at Ingram from the Ingram Book Company. And as you can see, a very large number of results are returned. Even if we sort by binding and then scroll down, there are, 8 or 10 different paperback editions available. Which one should we choose? The answer to this question, or one answer to this question, is to use web resources. So I am going to try this same search again, but this time I'm going to choose web resources. And as I mentioned earlier, this dialog comes up asking us which resource we want to use. Let's choose Indy Commerce for now. When we do, the Indy Commerce site comes up, and we have displayed for us a list of books that contain Middlemarch in the title. I should mention that this website belongs to the Book Table in Evanston, Illinois, who have kindly agreed to allow us to use their site for the purposes of this demo. Of course, you would go to your own Indy Commerce site if you have one. So looking at the list, the first book is a hardcover. Chances are our customer does not want a hardcover book. They probably would prefer a paperback. The next two are ringers, really. They're books about Middlemarch. But this one down here, the fourth in the list, is a paperback book, and it looks like a good candidate. So I'm going to click on this link to drill down to the detail concerning this edition. If we want to see a larger shot of the cover, of course, we can do that, which is useful if you're working together with a customer. We can also see information about the details of this edition. But really, probably the most important question for us is, can we get this book, or can we get this edition? And the answer to that, of course, it can be found by clicking on Stock Check. This is the same stock check that you use throughout Anthology. And as you can see, both Baker and Taylor and Ingram have this book available. So if our customer would like to special order it, we can simply click on the fetch icon here in the header of the screen. When we do, Anthology will go out to our external database of books in print, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the content at Ingram in this case, but of course it could just as well be Baker and Taylor or any other of the databases of books in print that we support. Here is the record as it will be added to our inventory. We know that it's a paperback, we know it's fiction, we know it will go into the department for books. We could make some changes here if we wanted to, but probably this is good enough for our purposes. And so we can simply click on F12 to save it into our inventory, or we can click on F3, send to special order. I'm going to do that right now. And when I do, the book is added to us as a special order to the current transaction. Of course, we'd have to identify our customer, take tenders and so on to complete the special order. But you can see how using web resources makes it easy for us to make sure that we are ordering a book for the customer that we can easily get from one of our vendors. Now, let's see how the same process would work if we were to use Goodreads. Once again, I could either click on the ellipsis button here or F2 lookup. When I do, I'll key in Middlemarch once again. Once again, I will click on F5 for web resources, but this time we'll choose Goodreads instead of Indy Commerce. When I do, we're taken to the Goodreads site. Again, a list of books whose titles include the keyword of Middlemarch. Let's take a look at this very first one in the list, which looks like a good candidate. Certainly, there are a great many editions of this title. So we're going to click on this link. And when we do, we drill down to a detail listing, display for Middlemarch. Now, we might wonder whether this particular edition is one that we will be able to get. And so once again, we can click on Stock Check. And when we do, we're going to find that this particular edition is not as readily available as the one that we discovered when we were searching using Indy Commerce. In fact, Ingram doesn't have it, Baker and Taylor doesn't list it at all. So we're going to close this, and we need to look for another edition of this book to order. The easy way to do this is to hover the mouse over the cover art for the book and to click on this button which appears labeled Other Editions. When I click on that, again, we have a list of alternative editions that we can explore. This is the one we were just looking at. We already know we can't get that. This one here seems like it might be a good bet. Indeed, it is the same one that we just found a few minutes ago using Indy Commerce. And if we click on stock check, we find the same results, that it is indeed available from both Ingram and Baker and Taylor. So we could, of course, fetch it, put it on a purchase order or special order, a purchase order, or indeed any anthology screen that we're working on at the moment. So Goodreads is a good option, but not as good as Indy Commerce, I think, which does a better job of highlighting the editions that are actually available to us. But either of these sites or Anthology Web Store can provide you with a powerful tool to provide better customer service. And if you invite the customer to look over your shoulder as you work, to introduce them to your website. You can also use web resources, as I said before, when constructing a PO, or indeed from anywhere else in Anthology where you may want to add new books. We hope that you'll find the web resources feature in version 8 a useful addition to your kit of tools, and we look forward to your comments, suggestions, and questions. Thank you very much for visiting, and please check out the other version 8 videos available at the Anthology channel on YouTube.